This segment's being sponsored by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Join us in preserving and protecting Tennessee's wildlife. All right, guys, tonight's calling segment's being sponsored by Taylor's Archery. Y'all can find them at 100 East Lauderdale Street in Tullahoma, Tennessee, or give owner Tracy Taylor a call at 931-563-7706 and let him take care of all your archery needs. Go down there and he'll get you ready for the upcoming tournament season. It's really getting kicked off strong, and now they're going to be down at the Opryland area. As a matter of fact, this weekend, Saturday morning, shooting the state championship with the kids down there. So if y'all get a chance, stop in there and show them your support as well. All right, welcome back to the studio. Now, if you guys want to start calling in, you can now. That's going to be 615-737-7767. And as some of those calls start coming in, we're going to go ahead and grab one. We've already had one call come in, so we're just going to jump right off the bat and grab this one. We've got Daryl here, and he has been waiting for a minute. Daryl, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Doing good. I appreciate you calling. I'm sorry you had to wait there for a minute.
Yes, it was a wait. I was calling in for something that's a little bit off topic.
Okay.
I'm calling in to talk to the whitetail guys about broadheads.
Okay.
And in our community, it's a big controversy about fixed or expandables. And I'd really like their input on what they shoot up there in Iowa, and I figure if it's good for them, it's good for me.
All right.
What broadheads do they shoot?
All right. Jared, you want to start out with that? You do shoot a lot bigger body, size deer probably on average there, so what do you suggest?
Daryl, it's like you rode in the car with us over here, because we literally were talking about this half hour ago, kind of debating it. Fixed versus mechanical is a question that I still ask all the time. Last year, I shot both, and if I was to pick over the past handful of years which one's been more effective consistently, it's been fixed, but that comes with a big caveat, and that's the tuning side of it. It's, most mechanicals you can pretty much just screw on and assume they're going to fly like a field point. If you're open to the tuning process and dedicated to really tuning that arrow, tuning that broadhead, tuning your bow, all those three, I think a fixed broadhead, in my opinion, in my experience, is hard to beat. But if you're not dedicated to that and don't have the knowledge or just the time to mess with it during the season, I think a mechanical is a lot safer bet for consistent arrow flight, from arrow to arrow. So that's my opinion. These guys,
right. That's a great answer. And there are advantages both ways. There's going to be advantages either way you look at it. David, what do you think on that?
For the most part, even when you talk to elk hunters, their first thing is fixed blade, because they're big bodied and they're going to get the penetrations you want. They're not going to have any, variance in that aspect. But I'm a big over-the-top expandable, and that's just because you can put it on any arrow, like Jared says. There's no fine tuning. And one of the comments we were talking about in the car ride over here was Andy's boys and his wife shoot a fixed blade, and I think there's less tuning with the flight of an arrow is when it's less foot per second.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
It's a little bit, so you have less of a variance.
It's more forgiving, basically. Put that in language, they're more forgiving.
So therefore, the tuning is less likely, and I think it helps with those kids that the penetration and the cutting of a fixed blade is something that needs to be used every time.
Yeah, for a lower poundage bow, you think. So they do make expandables for lower poundage.
Correct.
That are advertised as per for lower poundage. But I would actually agree with that, and I have shot them both as well. Just like Jared said, I've shot them both over the years. I've had success with both. But I think if you're going to go fixed blade, tuning is the most important part of that. And I was just talking about our friend Tracy Taylor there, but he'll grin when I say this, but people they don't tune like they used to. People don't look at tuning like they used to. Now they just say, oh, it's a solo cam. All I got to do is get something to tear and shoot it, and I'm ready to go to the woods. And more so than in the past, that is the case, yes, but it's really not the case. You should really still tune your bow and see what kind of air it's going to shoot, the straightest. But Andy, anything to add to that from y'all's truck conversation earlier? Or you?
I mean, what these two said is pretty much spot on. You know, I mean, I'm a big advocate of. I like a big cut. I mean, all of us, I know we shoot over 70 pounds or more. I'm pretty sure. I don't for sure about Jared, but I know David and I do. So as far as kinetic energy, we really don't have a lot of problem with that. So I like as big a cut as I can get, especially if I do hit that deer a little bad. That bigger cut and that more killing diameter, I guess, of that broadhead has a better chance of recovering the deer, I believe.
All right. Well, Darryl, we appreciate you calling. I hope that helps.
I really appreciate it because you cleared up a lot of unknowns for me. Neither one of them worked for me, really, but.
And in truthful, I wanted to get Jarrett in the hot seat. This is actually Wade from Apex Competition. I wanted.
Your new name is Darryl.
We're sticking with. I can tell. It sounded like he was holding his nose the whole time.
Now you're going to be Darryl from now on, Wade. You're done, man. You're Darryl from now on. But I'll tell you what though. The truth is though, that's still a great question, and it's a great topic, and it's one that you're never going to get a solid answer across the board. There could be just us two sitting here. There could be 30 of us in this room, and you're going to get. It's going to be different. One guy's going to be, but that's why when you walk into your favorite outdoor store or the NWTF convention down here, that's why there's 500 different vendors out there with different stuff, because we all like different things. Got to use what works for us the best. But Wade, it's good to hear from you, buddy. Hey, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Have a good evening, guys.
All right, you too. Bye. I tell you, if it wasn't for our friends, what would we do?
I thought he sounded nasally, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Like, man, this guy's he's not a local anyway.
I was like, he is from the north. No, I'm just kidding.
I tell you, but Wade, now he's got something new going on this spring too. He's kicking off the Apex, the spring turkey challenge. Now, either y'all gonna get signed up for that here in Tennessee?
We've been considering it. We've kind of been talking about it a little bit.
Yeah.
It might be something
I think we are going to breakfast with him tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah.
So
y'all will be signed up. Time y'all get done eating with Darryl, you'll both be signed up and ready to go.
Working out money right there on the spot.
Yeah, just go ahead and get him paid. But that's going to be a really neat deal too. We talked a little bit about that last week, and we'll be talking about it some more as we move forward. But now we talked. You're going to go to Florida. You're kicking off your season in Florida, so I assume that is where chasing red will begin. I see all the hunting in Florida now. When is opening weekend for that? Are y'all going to be down there when it opens?
Actually, I think Chad will be down there before us. I think he opens up in the southern zone. So below, what is it, 70?
below Highway 70. Yeah.
So below 70, I think opens I don't even know the
week
weekend.
before what we'll be hunting.
So the 14th, I think, is
so
that
not
right?
long. I mean,
Yeah,
so
somewhere in there.
14th, 15th, something like that, and then above the Highway 70, I guess it's the 18th, 19th, right there, somewhere right in there.
Yeah.
So,
Now, you guys y'all just the hunters, or y'all do some of the filming, some of the field production yourselves, or how much of that do y'all do? I know how it is, from start to finish, field production to the editing side, all the way through. There's a lot more that goes into this than people think it is. Am I right, Jared? You're telling the truth, man.
That's
it's a lot
exactly
more than
right.
people think. But so do y'all actually do your own field production and stuff?
Yeah, we pretty much just switch up. One of us will hunt one day, or one of us will kill, and then we'll switch up. But it is nice to have someone like this that you can send the footage to. Know it's gonna get to.
Say, hey man, make this look good for me, Jared. Make me look good.
Somebody's got to stay home while these guys have it.
That's what I get when Roger or Anthony or whoever films something for us. That's what I get. Well, here's what I got. And just make it look good. Make me look good. But
Well, in the past, David's took care of all of our editing.
Yeah, but I think it's good for with us and anybody, if they're going to be filming in the future or anything. I like people that have been in front of the camera and behind it, because then they get the feel of both of it. And then even as a cameraman, you're expecting and know what this hunter's about to do, so you know his move, so you're right on top of it, and you're kind of catching that semi-live action that you've got going.
That is a great
So
point,
I like both.
because I filmed for a little while before I ever learned to do any editing. Once I learned to edit, it completely changed the way that I film, because I started filming kind of towards, the way that I wanted to edit. And you will learn to film different ways, but something else to add to that, you guys just being buddies and hunting together all the time like you do. I've got several guys I hunt with, the same people over and over, and you'll learn what they're going to do. Y'all get on a bird or something, you got to, do what you know what each other's going to do without having to talk about it.
And going back to the editing though too, like when you've sat down before and you're like, man, I wish I had a shot like this to put in here, and you realize I should have filmed so much more. Because it's like, all right, well, that hunt was a 20-minute hunt, and then you get to edit and you've got like 2 minutes. You're like,
yeah.
Man, I didn't film nothing.
Yeah, it's amazing the footage that it takes to produce 10-minute. Here at the show, we usually produce segments 10 minutes at a time, 8 to 10 minutes. And it seems like it would just take nothing to make a 10-minute segment. There have been times we have filmed all day long to come up with 2 10-minute segments out of that, different things. And it's a lot to get it, because shooting that turkey, for example, that's this quick. You've shot the turkey, he's shot. Okay, now you got to do an interview. That's going to take a couple minutes. Everything else is B-roll, 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 B-roll. So it's all about just getting that story.
Yeah, and we love when you add a camera to the mix, no matter what kind of hunting it is, it's a completely different sport, right? Yeah. I mean, even if you look at one thing people don't really think about, you look at 2 guys like Andy and David that switch off. I mean, that automatically cuts your hunting time in half, and people don't think about that. I mean, it's a completely different sport, but we've been around it long enough that obviously we view it as being worthwhile. I've developed a passion for creating the highest quality video possible. That's kind of what motivates me to keep doing this, and that's one of our big goals with Chasing Red, is to keep a high standard of quality, and we'll try to pair cameramen with them as much as possible to control that quality. And people don't realize it's a different sport when you add a camera to the mix.
It is, especially if you're self-filming, but don't think that means it's easy to film your buddy either, because it's not. Because then there's other factors that come into play too. Yeah. For example, everything that they do, everything y'all do, it's 2 of you. No matter what. If you're going to sneak up on this bird a couple hundred yards down here, it's going to be 2 of you. If you're going to sit on this little stump, the only cover around there, it's going to be 2 of you. So it changes things even happen.
And if you got different angles, I'm on him, you're not. No, don't shoot. I'm on.
Yeah.
You know how many birds and lives have been saved by that camera?
Oh yeah. I've seen several saved by that.
And even deer. Deer.
Oh yeah.
And people are looking at home and they're going, shoot. What are you doing? What's this guy doing?
But the camera's got a clean shot, and this guy's over here looking through trash.
Yeah. And can't get a shot, and it's frustrating. But when you're, like you said, Jared, it's eventually you get to where you're more about getting the video and putting the story together, really, than so much the hunt.
And that really is what I do it for the documentation. If no one ever watched a single one of my hunts, I would still take a camera every day to the woods. I love just being able to relive everything you see out in the woods, and that's what it's about for me, is just having that documented for forever.
Yeah.
So.
You get to go back, especially those special hunts you spend with a good friend or a family member. This past week we were in a hunt with my daughter where she shot a buck this year that she had been after all season, got him on the very last day of the season, all this. But again, it's not really about that she got a buck. It was that whole story that led up to that. This day and that day, and sitting in the rain and so on and so forth. Yeah. But that's what builds up to that split second that you make that shot, or whatever it is. So that's a big deal. And I've gotten, like you said, you're all into just making that production, and it becomes where you enjoy the filming and the getting the story together part.
That's right.
As much as you do the actual hunt or the fishing itself or whatever it is you're doing. So well, guys, let's go over right now and do this week's tip of the week. This week's Tip of the Week is being sponsored by the Tennessee Outdoor Rendezvous and Deer Expo. That's going to be May 21st and 22nd this year. It's going to be held over at the Farm Bureau Exposition Center. I'll get that right here in a minute. Over at 945 Adore Parkway in Lebanon, Tennessee. Y'all can give my buddy Wes Stone a call if y'all want any more information on that. And also, if you're a vendor and you're looking to get in on that as well, they do now have a few booth spaces open in for vendor slots this year, so be sure to get with Wes if you're interested in that as well. All right, and you got a tip of the week for us this week. What you got?
Well, one of the big things for us is in states that allow it is pretty much staying out there all day. You know, everybody likes to get out first thing in the morning, you know, when the sun starts rising and those birds start gobbling. They're very vocal. You know, the gobblers, the hens, everything is just going crazy. But for us, you know, some of the best hunting can actually be later on up in the mornings, especially as you go throughout your season. Later in the mornings, those hens will start going to nest, and those gobblers, they'll get out there and they'll get lonely. They'll start gobbling again. So, really, one of the best things that we know is throughout the season, even early in the season, but stay out there as long as you can and hunt all day long, daylight to dark if you can, if your state allows it.
You never know when it might happen.
You never know.
It could be any time. All right, guys, we're going to get ready to take another quick break, and we'll be right back here in just a minute with some more Southern Woods and Waters.